be looking at. So, the engine model is education model that's based on innovation pedagogy. And someone asked me during the break that why on earth is this project called Radical Project? And the reason there, of course, is it's not an abbreviation of something, but it is a radical change in the way how the engineering education goes, because in Finland we don't have a model for the full degree as in this way, combining the workplace learning with the academic education. And of course we have had work placements, internships, projects with the companies, but what we are talking about here is that we have a model for the full degree. And the model goes really so that almost half of the study time the students will spend in the company, and that the theory and practice are alternating all the time, and really then that the companies will engage the students immediately from the beginning of the studies, and that then they will be able to continue working in the same company later on once they graduate. And the development assignments, the project work during the studies, that's done for real development needs of the companies. So the companies will really benefit from this cooperation also. So they will get fresh, innovative ideas through this model, and thus it will be a big benefit. So the elements that I will briefly go through: application process, matching the student and the company, the agreements, scheduling the studies, also a little bit about evaluating the students' performance, and then about the mentoring. And I'm sorry, it will be quite brief as we are already having the last presentation, but I'm very happy to share more about it, and so are all the project members then later on. But let's go through and see what we have there. So we will take this model into use in the degree program of Industrial Management and Engineering in September 2019. So that has been already decided, so there we will have a real case. And the semester starts in September, 2nd of September, and we will be getting in around 80 new fresh students. And of course they have already, the applicants have already applied, and we don't yet know who will be admitted, but there has been the normal application process. For the other path that we have considered also from the beginning, we think that there are in many companies people who would like to do a degree in engineering. And also there are companies, obviously, who think that lifelong learning, maybe the retention of the people is a good idea, and they may want to support their staff to also do a degree. So the companies may send their staff to study in this engine model. And in Finland, in Turku University of Applied Sciences, we have something that's called the open studies, a model where a student can do the first year through this open path, and after successful first year studies, he or she can then apply to become a degree program student. That costs a little bit, but it's really small amount of money. So once we have the 80 with us at the university, those who are willing may then apply to this engine model. And we are going to choose 20 students out of the applicants for this model. And the application that will be done through a motivational letter. So why they would be willing to do their studies with the engine model instead of the conventional model, if you like. But we will be running in parallel these two studying models. So if there would be, for example, happening something in the relationship or for the company or so forth, that later on during the studies the cooperation between student and the company would not continue. There is always the group at the university who will study in the conventional way. Okay. So about matching and how do we get in the company. So during the survey, during the project, we have identified a good number of companies who are willing to take in a student. And of course, we will do some more advertising of this model, and the companies will sign up in the autumn, early autumn, and we will do the agreements, the cooperation agreements by September, so around the time when the students arrive. And of course, in the beginning, the new students have a lot of information to take in, but around October, they will then be doing their application to apply for the engine model. And in the motivational letter, they are allowed to list the top 3 companies that they are most interested in. This will help us, of course, to match then the applicants and then the companies. And for this process, we have quite nice guidance and advice from the partners in Radical project. The companies will choose the students based, of course, on their motivation, and then they will also do the interviews. So companies will decide, they will choose the students. And that will happen then early 2020. And at the same time then, the companies will also nominate a mentor to the student. That about the mentoring I will explain a bit more later. So this was very briefly about the applying and getting the students, the companies, and matching them together. About the agreement structure, there's been done a little bit of work around this, and here also we have had the legal counsel involved, as well as Meyer has been giving their inputs on how it's going to be like. So we believe that we need, first of all, a cooperation agreement between companies and the University of Applied Sciences. We hope that the companies that will come into this model, they will stay there also for longer term. So not all the companies are able to take several students per year. Not all the companies may even be able to take 1 student every year. So it is possible that they will, for example, just have 1 student who will be there studying for 4 years, and then they will take the next one then on the 5th year again. But the idea of the cooperation agreement is that we will agree mutually about the intention to continue this kind of cooperation in longer term, and that I think is a very good idea for the company University of Applied Sciences and also for the students, so that we are able to build on to the learnings from the previous experiences and so on. And then there will be a second agreement, which is then a three-party agreement, where we will then agree about the learning modules that the student will be able to perform at the company. So the companies are different, they are from different fields. So we don't expect that all companies from different fields and in different sizes are able to provide the same courses, or study modules. So there may be a little bit of variety. In case the company is not able to provide a certain study module, then that student will then come to university and get that knowledge, skills with the conventional group, if you wish. And then the third type of contract or agreement is a work contract. And there are a few more words about that. The student will be in an employment relationship at the company. And this is something that is very new and has caused a lot of discussion with the companies. So some companies think that why should we do this because we have not done it before, why should we maybe pay to the students for a thing that he's getting the study credits for that point. But we believe that as the student, engineering student, is progressing in his studies, he is taking the theoretical knowledge to the company, doing productive work and also making development. It is fair that he or she is then also paid quite a small amount of money, I would say. How could I say, the salary of a practitioner or so forth. So in the learning agreement, we will be discussing about the overall content of the degree program and then about the parts that the company is able to instruct and also then the credit points. And then in the appendix, we will then have the detailed content for a particular semester. So this study module, this many credit points, this is what is going to be learned. This is the task that the student will be performing. This is what they will be delivering and how they will be evaluated and when, and by whom also. So quite many things, but we have created a form for that purpose that will help us then to make sure that all these things are agreed beforehand. And this actually was one of the feedbacks from the pilot companies, that it is important that we spend enough time in the beginning to agree about the tasks and the way forward. Employment contract, fixed term, and most probably at the moment that is the idea we have, so 1 semester or 1 year at the time. And the company and the students will then agree about the compensation or salary, and of course we then are interested to understand the level, what it will be. It's important that they are being paid for the productive work. And the model would be that the payment is done according to the working hours, because in the first year the student may be at the company 1 day per week, and then in the 4th year 5 days per week, for example, and thus the salary will then go up while the competencies and knowledge and so forth is going up. So the student will be paid for the productive, for the value-adding work they do for the company. Okay, then I will go to the next thing, which is scheduling of the studies. We heard from Martin about the different alternatives, also from Ludger and Thomas, that there exist. And we have looked at the different models and which of them would suit best to our environment. And for example, the 6 days working week, we consider that it is not something that we can have in the Finnish, in our region. So it is something that would be something that the students would be really against of. So we go for the 5 days per week, and the student will get the academic basis from the University of Applied Sciences, and our timetable, how it's done at our university, it's flexible, but it is also fixed. So it's quite different from what I've understood in many of your universities. So if we have a certain course or study module, that's on always on Tuesdays and Fridays at certain time, so for the whole semester. So we have that kind of timetable, and I have to say that we lecturers, professors, we tend to follow that quite well. So if it is in our timetable, we will then be there, and we very seldom cancel or postpone or do something about it. So we follow the system. So because of that, because we always have for certain study module, for example Tuesday, Friday, or Monday and Thursday, we will be able to schedule the studies so that they progress in. So that will be their team, their studying team, that they can connect with very well. Okay, we promised that we will not look at the content, but just to give an idea of what kind of studies will the students have in the companies from September onwards. So we have identified from different study years suitable modules that also the companies have in the survey considered that they are able to instruct. So some of these are visible here. And then about the model, so we have the autumn semester that goes from September to December, and then the spring semester from January to end of April normally, and then the practical training is then in the summer period. So the engineering degree is altogether 240 ECTS or credit points, and out of that, for our degree program, it's possible to have 115 credit points done through the workplace learning. So of course this means that within this 115 they have both the academic and then the workplace knowledge building. So this is the engine model in brief. Do you have any questions at this point? And then I will share some issues for the pilot if there is time. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the presentation. One question on the work employment contract. Yeah.
Yes.
You said that probably they will be for 6 months or 1 year and then renewed every time.
Yes.
I just know that in France, at least, you cannot renew a contract more than once, and then you have to hire someone for eternity.
Yes.
So how is this good in Finland? Is it possible to do this succession of up to 8 contracts or not?
8 is not possible, but this again is that if the student goes to another task, So it is not renewing the same task, if you wish, or the same contract. So we are not renewing the same contract in a way. But in Finland, we are able to also renew the contract more than once. So the law is not against. But yes, very valid point. So in the model, we have to consider very many perspectives. Okay, maybe I'll then show some. Here are Sami and Elmo, our students, who have participated in the pilot. They were working at Meyer, and their task was data collection from production process. So basically they collected errors, they did data analysis, they made improvement suggestions. So that was really, how should I say, very productive engineering work that they did. And the company was very satisfied with the result. And what made me really happy was that these two students that were third-year students were also very happy. So they did not only learn about the production management, what was the real topic. It was also that they learned about the systems. The ERP, they were able to use the shipyard's own ERP, collect data from there. About the organization, about the material information flow, and they got a safety training for the shipyard. So there was a lot of extra that we could not even think of that they would gain in the pilot. So they were very happy, and of course we also had some issues that we discussed. So what needs to be considered for the real implementation is that the tasks must be formulated, they must be planned carefully, and also the company must understand that they need to put some resources in instructing the students, at least when they first arrive to the company. And assuring that also the academic knowledge is gained, and that it is connected to the practical learning, so that still there is the risk that they are at the company and then they participate in the lectures. But I think the real value from this model will come when the students really understand how the theory and what they did at the company is combined together, and they can build on their previous learnings. So with this presentation, I'm just looking for very skilled, radically better engineers for the region in future, and I hope that some of you may get some ideas about this to your own educational model, or to your company, or to your work later on. So thank you very much.